समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
It's been about 10 days since the blast in Delhi. Since then, a lot of things have become clearer. At the same time, a lot of issues have also got muddier. We know that many arrests have taken place. We also know that this horrible incident took place at the police station in Naugam, where the explosive that was being examined or sealed, explosive recovered from Faridabad and Mewat, that blew up, killing 9 people from various agencies. And after that, very extensive investigations are going on. Within a few days, Parliament will be in session, and you can be sure that this incident will be discussed a great deal. However, as with all these cases, as people are arrested, as some riddles are resolved, more open up. So in this case at this point, what we have is a classical set of clutter, right? As Praveen Swami, our national security editor, master, commander, everything tells me, this is like a bowl of noodles, right? It's a bowl of noodles or a spaghetti bowl, depending on what you prefer, because it's all mixed up. It's all mixed up and you don't know what's what and you don't know who is who. So what I'm going to do is, I'm first going to do what maybe my botany teacher did in college, which is when he came to the class, he first drew a diagram. He first spent a lot of time just drawing a diagram of what he was going to teach. We are of the pre-computer teaching era. And then, as you absorb this, he would then explain to you what meant what. So I am also drawing a diagram for you. You will see, we'll make some effort at it. You will see it on your screens as well. What are we doing? I am right now listing those that have been arrested or those who are now suspected but not yet arrested. So search is on for them. And also, what do we know so far of the connection between them? Once I've drawn that diagram, that picture for you, then we'll have Praveen Swami join in, and then I will ask him some tough questions where I haven't leaked the paper to him, or actually I have leaked the paper to him because he's given the questions to me. That said, let me first draw the picture for you. This story begins, as we now know, this begins in 2021. In 2021, a man called Irfan Wage, he joined the local mosque in Naugam as its Maulvi. He's about 35 years old now. He's a youngish fellow. This is a Barelvi mosque. However, he had come educated from a Deobandi seminary. That is a little nuance there. But he had come here and he had come with high recommendation. He had got his police clearances because this is Kashmir, and Kashmir of 2021, you can't suddenly become a Maulvi in a mosque unless you've got these clearances. So he gets his clearances and he becomes the Maulvi in the mosque. Maulvi Irfan Wage apparently had a chance meeting with Dr. Adil Rathar, senior resident at Anantnag. He is from Government Medical College, Anantnag, in 2022. Dr. Adil Rathar, remember his name came up later because he's the one who was arrested from the hospital in Saharanpur. Adil Rathar, doctor, who's a graduate of Government Medical College, Anantnag. At this point in 2022, he was a senior resident there. That is when the Maulvi Irfan Wage and he come in contact. Then Adil Rathar introduces Irfan Wage to Muzammil Ganai, who is also a graduate of Government Medical College, in this case Srinagar. So these doctors come from 2 medical colleges, both called GMC, both called Government Medical College. That causes further clutter. Some are from Srinagar, some are from Anantnag, different colleges called Government Medical College or GMC. Muzammil Ganai ropes in his friend at Al-Falah. Al-Falah is the medical college in Faridabad. He has a friend there called Dr. Shaheen Shahid. That is the woman doctor. She is not Kashmiri. She is from Lucknow. That's the woman doctor, considerably senior to all of these people, about 10 years senior. Muzammil ropes in within his group Dr. Shaheen Shahid. With all of these, please take allegedly as read, because this is the story as the police or the investigating agencies, in this case the NIA, are building. Then also at Al-Falah, he also comes in contact with, or he also brings into his group, cell, cohort, friend circle, you can choose what you want to call it. He ropes in again Dr. Umranun Nabi. He's the one who died in that car that blew up. Whether it's a suicide bomber or not, that is something that is still being debated. Or if he was going to be a suicide bomber, because a video came up, video of April, where he seems to be reflecting on the idea whether it's Islamic or not. So he says yes, but he then trails off. So you can see in April that he's a little bit confused. He's a little bit confused, and when somebody is so confused, then you are very vulnerable in the sense of you are ripe for radicalization, indoctrination, whatever. That is the kind of state he is in. In fact, my question was that if this video, which has now surfaced, it has surfaced from the phone that his brother says that he had been instructed to throw in the river, which NIA then fished out, and using that phone's electronics, they were able to trace this video. If this video was recorded in April, then my question was it recorded before Pahalgam or after Pahalgam? Pahalgam, as we know, was 22nd of April this year. Then one of their group, a member of their group, their circle, again, whatever you call it, that is the brother of Muzammil. Muzammil's brother is Muzaffar. Muzammil Ganai's brother is Muzaffar Ganai, who leaves for Afghanistan in 2023. Again, all of this is allegedly, reportedly, because that's the picture that the investigating agencies are now building up. Three doctors then were funded, allegedly funded by Dr. Shaheen Shahid, who was the senior most of all, to travel to Turkey. So they traveled to Turkey. From Turkey, apparently or allegedly, they had planned to go to Afghanistan. But they were not able to go there because Turkish authorities, again, apparently would not let a foreign passport holder, in this case, Indian passport holders, to travel to Afghanistan from there, because anybody traveling to Afghanistan would be under great scrutiny. In 2023, that scrutiny would be even greater than it might have been 24, 25, 26, because Taliban were still settling down. And Turkey, remember, is a member of NATO. And Turkey has its own fish to fry all over the Islamic world. So they were not allowed to go. So that failed. However, one of them was already in Afghanistan. Where in Afghanistan, we don't know. In 2024, it looks like discussions on suicide bombing, is it a good thing, a bad thing? What does the religion say on this? Is it justified? Is it not justified? Those discussions started because these people had a discussion group. In 2025, sometime in 2025, discussions began in Faridabad on carrying out some attacks. All of this is picture that's now being built. Now, along with this, something else is going on. Others in the same cell or group, the first one is Dr. Nisarul Hasan. He is missing. Now, what is the history of Dr. Nisarul Hasan? He was sacked from his job in 2022 for separatist connections in Kashmir Valley. He was also the president of Kashmir Doctors Association. So he had been sacked, and the law is such that if you are sacked as a doctor on these charges, then you don't even have the license to practice. So we don't know what he was doing, but he has gone missing. In any case, he's not been arrested in the latest round of these rounding up operations, because a lot of people will be picked up by the police and the NIA. Then Jasir Bilal Wani. Jasir Bilal Wani has been arrested. He is the alleged bomb maker. He's also the one who was allegedly playing with the idea of using drones and using rockets and stuff like that. So he's sort of allegedly the tech mind in the group. And then there is Amir Rashid Ali. He owned the car I-20. So these are the important characters. And then from there, And then from there, we go to some others. There is a parallel stream with this. That's the reason I told you that's my botany professor drawing a chart for you. There is a parallel stream going on. In the parallel stream, this Maulvi Irfan Wage, in 2020, this is a village called Pinjora. I told you he came from a Deobandi madrasa, at a large madrasa which has hundreds of boys, say 500-600. There he's studying with a man called Muzammil Tantre. Muzammil Tantre was allegedly an Al-Qaeda terrorist. He was killed in an encounter subsequently in 2021. Before he is killed, however, he supposedly, allegedly hands over a bunch of weapons, a cache of weapons for safekeeping with those he had come in contact with, or those who had become members of this cohort. These included AK-47s, some handguns as well. One of these rifles was found in Dr. Adil Rathar's locker after Dr. Adil Rathar was arrested in Saharanpur. Another rifle was found in the back of Dr. Shaheen Shahid's car, and some other weapons were also found accordingly. Now, how does the story open up? The story opens up because October 27, and we were wondering who would have done it. That if these were really Jaish-e-Mohammed people, would they be so stupid to put up posters in Kashmir, and that too next door to Srinagar, where everything is covered by cameras. In any case, in all our cities, every street corner is watched by some camera. Remember that ad that used to run on your TV channels? Upar wala sab kuch dekh raha hai. That was about a CCTV company. So upar wala as in CCTV abhi sab kuch dekh raha hai. So who would be so reckless as to put up posters? In this case, 3 young people who were not particularly key figures with anything. They came and put up these posters, also threatening these posters besides singing praises of Jaish-e-Mohammed, also said that anybody who's doing any watching for the government or the agencies, giving them any information, will be taught a lesson, etc. I'm not giving you the exact translation. They get picked up because that is when the SP of Nagaon says what is going on. SSP of Nagaon and some other police officers, local police officers, they round up these 3 men. Once they round up these 3 men, they lead them to others. And the fact is, since then, from that moment on, 27th October, this silsila or the story of arrests and recoveries starts. So first arrests are made on the 28th. The next set of arrests are made on 29th. Faridabad, first recoveries are made on 29th, like that. 10th evening is when this bomb goes off in front of Red Fort in Delhi. So that is the picture as we know. And now that we have the picture, I have the expert with me. We have Praveen Swami, who you know very well. Praveen, you've spent some time in the valley now. You went there just a day after the blast in Delhi. So I have a bunch of questions for you. But before that, you tell me, how's the picture looking to you? Does it look like one of those usual stories you've covered in the past? Because you've also covered very closely bombings in the Indian Mujahideen period. Does it look like one of those, or is it different? And if so, how?
So the common feature with the Indian Mujahideen in this case is that the scale of killing. I mean, the Indian Mujahideen engaged in tremendous slaughter, the horrible killings in the Bombay train system, various other attacks.
That was done with pressure cookers.
Pressure cookers, but nothing more than ammonium nitrate and fuel oil.
The same explosive, the
Exact-
same mix as this one.
Exactly the same mix. And like this group, they started off with some experiments. They didn't quite get it right in the beginning, if you like. That's the wrong word for killing innocents. But and their scale of ambition steadily increased. Now, 350 kilograms of ammonium nitrate and fuel oil, that's not a joke.
No, let's get that clear. 350 is what was left in Faridabad. That was not in the
this
car.
was the amount taken to Kashmir. So
Right.
this is ammonium nitrate mixed with fuel oil out of a total package of maybe around 3,000 kilograms.
That is what the investigators took there to be sealed.
to be sealed. 350 kilograms of ammonium nitrate mixed with fuel oil. Now, ammonium nitrate is inflammable, but not particularly dangerous if it's not mixed with fuel oil.
Yes.
In this case, this amount was readied. There were 14 timers present at the site, according to the police recovery statement.
But no detonators.
No detonators. Interesting, because to trigger an explosion, you need a detonator. It can be made homemade with various acids and
Don't explain how. Huh?
it can be purchased. It's used in mining, various.
Because there is so much illegal quarrying going on in the Aravallis, around Mewat, around Faridabad, around this entire region going right up to Alwar.
And it's, there's no real regulation of these things, unfortunately. So we don't know if these guys meant to get a detonator, if they, were thinking of some other means. We don't know. They are all, however, I'm given to understand by sources in the authorities, pointing the finger at Umar Nabi, saying this 350 kilograms and this attack plan was his doing. Naturally,
But that's convenient, isn't it? Because
absolutely,
he's
blame
dead.
it on the dead
You
man.
can blame a dead man, huh?
For anything. So, I mean, lots of evidence yet to come out exactly what their plans were. But 14 timers are a very good clue.
That means 14 explosives,
14
bombs.
Now, the Indian Mujahideen's explosives in the attacks in Bombay, which killed, I think,
209 people.
209 people. Each of those pressure cookers had between 4 and 7 kilos of explosive. 7 kilos, dozens of kilos, so the scale was ambitious. And secondly, the interesting thing is the Indian Mujahideen, some of the key people early on were trained by the Lashkar-e-Taiba with the help.
They'd also gone to Pakistan.
They'd gone to Pakistan. But once those trained people came back, those Sadiq Isra Sheikh, a couple of other people, the rest of the group, they trained. So the connection with Pakistan for a long time or with the ISI was not a very clear one. You could make allegations, but very tough to prove that this guy did this thing and went there. In this case, similarly, no direct link immediately coming up. And this is becoming a pattern. The Moscow attack last year was carried out by people who had been trained virtually, completely online without going to a camp or a training facility. And they were provided with instructions on how to do things. Was this a similar case? It's so hard to say.
Even the Easter attacks in Sri Lanka were a bit like that.
Where there's no trained guy. But unfortunately, a lot of the information you need to stage a terrorist attack is available in the darker corners of the internet. Many terrorists have over the years carried out mass casualty attacks without any formal training. It's possible.
So that was my first question, which you sort of preempted. The first question was, what was the plan? Why did they mix 350 kgs of ammonium nitrate with fuel oil? And when?
And when? Now, this is a fascinating question because Umar Nabi, we don't know what he's doing before the 29th when these arrests start taking place in Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. But definitely he's not at Al-Falah on the 29th. He is somewhere with his car, this I-20, from the 29th to the 10th. Now,
And that's a black box. We don't know. Not yet.
We don't.
Because he had switched off his phone.
He had turned off his phone, and so far we don't know if his movements were captured by CCTV. There is some speculation that he stayed with a lower level employee of Al-Falah in Nu. There have been a couple of arrests, but nothing yet proven. Now, if he disappears on the 29th, are the explosives in the car from that cache of 350 kilos? Or are they from somebody separate who has supplied them to him? When does he put them in his car? What are his intentions? On the 27th, 28th, does he already have some plans to do something? Because he may have heard from Srinagar that the main man, Irfan Wage, has been arrested and it's a matter of time.
Yeah, because the fact is that the story had opened up on October 27th. So to the extent that there was a cover, the cover was blown already. So if there were people elsewhere, they would have suspected that ultimately the police will reach them, because all these people were arrested in Kashmir, and when people are arrested, you have to make a presumption that they will speak. How much they speak varies, but if you are at the other end, if you're on the same side in same group, then you would think that maybe you've been betrayed.
Right. One of the things with well-educated people or people used to a certain affluent lifestyle is that they're not going to run and live in a jungle somewhere very easily. So, they'll squirm a little, and sometimes that makes them more vulnerable to being caught. But in this case, Umar al-Nabi did disappear for
about 10 days.
10 days. And we have absolutely no idea.
And the interesting thing is that on the 10th, the Faridabad SP held a press conference where he talked about these raids. So we can't even say, my immediate feeling was that, because he held a press conference, Umarul Nabi would have then left Faridabad and gone to Delhi, ke pakde gaye.
Mare gaye.
But the fact is that CCTV records at Delhi entry point shows that he had entered Delhi at 6:30 a.m. that morning.
And the interesting thing
Much
about
before the press conference.
So whatever the cause of his flight was, it was not that press conference.
And Dr. Shaheen Shahid was also arrested that day, before the blast.
Now, again, the question that comes out of that press conference is that the Commissioner of Police in Faridabad is fairly matter of fact talking about this. He basically called the press conference to avert speculation that a lot of RDX was found and that some attacks might take place.
Because there was no RDX.
There were no RDX, and the local media had started going a little ballistic. So, I mean, he wanted to tap down things. But all he says about Umar...
No pun intended. Ballistic, huh? Media
Sorry?
doesn't go usually ballistic, but
he only says, I have, we have arrested X, Y, Z, or ek aadmi farar hai. He doesn't make it sound like there is something to panic about or some main guy is missing. The tone is not that there is a guy missing who is very important and may blow up something. It's a very...
Because the police probably is thinking so far that, well done, pat my own back. I have busted a module before they could do any damage.
Absolutely. And think about it, that's not an unreasonable guess.
Right.
Unless you have, something coming from somebody's phone or somebody alerting you that, look, this cell is full of people. We've named so many people. There have been dozens of arrests in Kashmir where, they're exploring some peripheral link. You'd think it's one more guy.
Yeah. So you say that they were talking to each other in that group on encrypted apps, and you mentioned the usual Telegram, Threema, etc. So what Telegram, Threema is not an app that's used often in India.
No,
Signal is, but not Threema.
Threema and Signal are essentially the same technology. They have end-to-end encryption. Signal is run as a purported public
Not
service.
for profit, huh?
Not for profit. It's run by some people who are very convinced of the need for privacy and to protect privacy against governments. Threema is a paid service. So people are generally a little reluctant to cough up money for something they can get for free.
So who were they talking to on these?
It'd be great to know. I'm sure a lot of people at the NIA would love to answer that question. But these people are quite disciplined about deleting old communications, about not leaving too many things behind, about, as you mentioned, getting rid of a phone in a stream. Because they know that on any phone, even if you delete things,
everything, yes.
a lot of data is left behind, which there are forensic tools to extract. So they've been quite disciplined about not leaving a digital trail behind.
Which is what the NIA was able to do with this phone that they retrieved.
Find 4, I understand, conversations which Umar Nabi has recorded. But we, sometimes with people are not so disciplined. They don't remember to delete things.
Particularly when their minds are knotted up.
Tension, you're doing a lot of things. These people have been quite disciplined. And if none of them had any formal training in the tradecraft, if you like, of terrorism, then they've definitely studied some of these things about how intelligence services run, about what people are watching out for. Remember, a lot of terrorists are arrested because intelligence services manage to get into their communications.
Right.
Because they're careless or they make a mistake.
But that hasn't happened in this case. The
For
only
quite a long
that
time.
happened in this case, the only act of indiscretion was putting up those posters.
And those posters, fascinatingly, are not, even genuine. The logo of Jaish-e-Mohammed is a little wrong. So, I mean, it's some kid cutting and pasting something or, doing something.
But those young people have been arrested.
And those young people gave the clue that blew open this whole thing.
Yes. Now, next, how did this device explode in the car, you think?
Oh, I think this is a real forensic puzzle. What we know is that there's no debris that's been found, like that is very authoritative on this question.
But some journalists were picking up stuff from there and
So
taking it away.
some lessons there in crime scene management. In fact, one cartridge of a pistol has been found much after the event. But some lessons here. There have been many police officers, legal experts who've written that India's crime scene management is very, very poor. Abroad, you will see that immediately after
the tape comes all around the place.
And they're very strict, and the media also are taught to stay behind that thing. There's an understanding. Reporters are told not to push on to the scene. Unfortunately, this has not been our practice, and maybe something to learn from. But what is perplexing is that Umar-ul-Nabi, as we see from CCTV footage, drives around the whole day. At some point after these events in Kashmir, the stage shifts to Delhi. We know that at 6:30 in the morning on the 10th, Umar-ul-Nabi is seen at a toll post outside Delhi. A CCTV image is captured. Before that, where he was he in Kashmir, back in Anantnag? Was he in...
For 12 days.
For 12 days, it's just a black hole right now. Hopefully something will emerge from this phone and other things people have found, but a gap there. So he's been to important places like Connaught Place, Lal Killa, iconic signs of Delhi. He doesn't detonate his device there.
He sits in the parking for 3 hours at Red Fort.
What he is doing, who can see inside the mind of a dead man? His phone is off. But the car seems to be driving with no apparent objective when this device detonates. Now, did he blow it up on purpose? It would need a detonator to set it off. If it was a certain kind of crude detonator, then it is possible that the timing was not exact. It's very difficult to calculate with a crude acid detonator. It's possible there was a short circuit or some defect in the car. After all, even in the tragic incident at Nogam police station, heat was basically the trigger which set it off. It's a volatile substance. Very hard to say. And I think this is one challenge investigators are going to have. Who but him knows what happened in those last hours?
Now, fourth question. What do we know about any possible foreign links? Because Muzaffar Ganai is in Afghanistan, or supposedly was he involved?
I met his family and they said he had gone there saying he wanted to live in what he thought of as a pure Islamic state. Rather than work for what he felt was not a religious
within
order.
Afghanistan, there are many Islamic states. There is Al Qaeda, there is ISIS, ISKP,
Right.
as it's
And-
called.
and
there
in
is
fact-
TTP, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. There is the Taliban, right?
Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed.
Then there is Taliban Light, right?
So we know from past UN reports, as you say, that this is a full raita of everybody in who's who in the world is there. And Kunar, where he's supposed to have gone in southern Afghanistan, is a very remote area. His family told me that they don't have a mobile number for him. May be true, may not be true. Afghanistan in general has a very good mobile network. So if somebody wants to call someone, they can definitely do so. But what he's doing there, are these people in touch with him? Is he giving them some instructions maybe? Don't know. that maybe will come out with some of the digital forensic work. Maybe Indian intelligence will be able to work out some of this.
So the final question from this, the police got onto it on 27th of October. The first arrests in Kashmir Valley they made on 29th, right? On the 29th, they also reached Faridabad because they knew the stuff was there. Then they arrested Dr. Adil Rathar. Then they raided his locker. So they knew all this was unraveling. So what did they miss out that this one cutout got away and this explosion took place? Otherwise, this would have been a clean busting of a module.
So, I mean, in retrospect, probably the Jammu and Kashmir police could have worked much better with the central agencies and its counterparts in Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. On the 27th itself, they need not have sent someone all the way to Faridabad and whatever, somebody could pick up a phone. But this is all hindsight. I mean, every police force, every intelligence service in the world wants credit for its achievements.
And is very jealous of its sources and its information.
Right.
They don't
Sources
like
and
to share
methods,
it.
they don't like to share it. Nobody wants to say the other guy,
Right.
And I can imagine that if I was in the position the Jammu and Kashmir police was, I would be thinking, hey, I've cracked, one of
big
the
case.
biggest cases since the Bombay blasts or something. I don't want to go around telling everyone about it. In hindsight, was that wise? Was that a good thing? Probably not. The second factor is we don't know, what they made of this. As I said, we're looking at it as one missing person. It was on that day not one missing person. It was many people, many threads,
And maybe there are
flapping.
still missing people.
Now, this is the worrying thing. If somebody gave Umarun Nabi that ammonium nitrate after he left, if somebody gave him a detonator, if there are more people in Kashmir who have more cars that are prepared, it's a little scary. We know, from the fact that these guys had automatic weapons, that they were probably planning to use them in some situation. Are there other modules around? We don't know. And I think one of the things this points us in the direction of thinking is, I think, especially before Pahalgam, a lot of people had been lulled into thinking this problem is over. It's gone. And even today, it's not like Kashmir is awash in violence or, it's a very peaceful, pleasant place. I think the lesson here is, just a few people with some madness on their shoulders, riding on their shoulders, can change the picture very, very quickly.
Eternal vigilance is the price for security.
Yeah. And as we've discussed, as you've seen in your career so often, there's no such thing as perfection. We can go back to the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case or many other things and say, if this guy had done
Well,
this.
Rajiv Gandhi assassination case also, I know we should not digress and we should close it now, but the big problem arose because the special investigating team that the CBI, that was set up under the CBI under Karthikeyan, the Bangalore police got into a competitive situation with them. And that's how Shivrasar and so many of the others were able to, they found the time to swallow cyanide before the NSG could catch them.
9/11, the most, biggest terrorist attack, tragic event of our times. You can look back at that commission of inquiry and say, oh my God, how could somebody do this?
Right.
How did they miss this?
Right. But always happens like that because, you can't, terrorist has to be lucky only 1 in 1,000 times or 10,000 times. While the other guys must be lucky all of the 10,000 or 100,000 times. So this was one of those situations, and I do hope that this is the end of the story. And these ends are now tied up by investigating agencies in various places. In this case, in Kashmir, in Delhi, in Haryana, in Uttar Pradesh, maybe elsewhere, whatever these are. Because I think one useful thing these days for investigation is just as digital technology and communication is very useful for bad guys, it's also equally useful for the cops.